So I've done that for 8 New York Times bestselling authors, like Olympic gold medalists. I've done it. But like my favorite people to work with are people like our friend Candace, like people who are really smart, not famous yet, but who have like these great ideas that are in your head, and you need to get them out of your head in a way that snaps and crackles and pops and excites your audience to take your idea and to move forward with it.
Mike, I'm excited for this. Thank you for joining
Thank
me.
you.
Glad you're feeling better too. So, all right, let's get started. For the people who don't know you, give us your high level intro.
High level intro. My name is Mike Pacchione. I know nobody, you look at the last name, it's a little intimidating. Most people just skip over it. Pacchione, that's how you say it. I run a site, a business called Best Speech, and my goal is to help you deliver the best speech of your life. So I've done that for 8 New York Times bestselling authors, like Olympic gold medalists. I've done it. But like my favorite people to work with are people like our friend Candace, like people who are really smart, not famous yet, but who have like these great ideas that are in your head, and you need to get them out of your head in a way that snaps and crackles and pops and excites your audience to take your idea and to move forward with it. So a lot of the people that I work with, like eventually, when you're on like Instagram or Facebook or something, and you're scrolling through and you get ads for conferences, a lot of the people I work with wind up being those names and faces on the ads. And that's because they've created something called a signature talk. And what you don't know is before they got there, they had to figure out what they were talking about, and they had to figure out how to make it clear, and they had to figure out how to make it exciting and actionable. And that's what I help people to do.
hmm Yes, and having worked with you for 6 months, I can hand on heart say that you deliver. You're the best coach I've ever worked with. It was so cool. And
Bam.
then some of the feedback I got was like, Candace is the best kept secret of this conference.
Yes.
So, yes, not famous yet, but I know I've got you. So,
I know, but like that's the thing is everybody needs that first time where someone said that to them and they're like,
mhm,
oh, I guess I can do this.
yeah,
The speaking thing is doable. So
yes.
I can't wait to see what you do with it.
Yes. All right. But this is definitely all about you, not at all about me. So
All right, fine.
let's go back to you, Mike. And I feel like I'm going to need to keep steering you back to you. Okay. So back in time, young you, what was that first ever paycheck or that taste of like freedom or being, what's the word? Yeah, just like on your own.
Oh,
What was your first job?
you talking about like mowing lawns
Yeah,
or
all the way, all the way. Maybe you were
well,
9,
yeah.
who knows?
The first thing I ever did was I walked the dog of the guy down the street who's a traveling jewelry salesman. This is like incredible to think about in hindsight. He was a traveling jewelry salesman. He was going all the time. He loved his dog. And me and my brother, when we were, I'm gonna guess like 10 and 8, he asked if we wouldn't mind just letting the dog out and take him for a walk once a day. And we walked Amos once a day. I think we got paid $10 a day, which
Mm,
I didn't get an allowance. This is like literally the first money I ever had in my life outside of birthday money. That was amazing. And like we were real into comic books. I just remember like it's like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Comics were I think $1.25 at the time. So it's like I can get 8 comic books every time we walk Amos. Like that was a huge win.
wow. That is a lot of comic books. Did you buy all 8 every time, or did you start
Oh my
learning how
gosh.
to save a little bit?
So no, we spent almost all our money on comic books, I think. Funny, yeah, and this is like I'm gonna try to not go down too big a rabbit trail here, but there was an era where comic books were the biggest deal. And Marvel and DC, which like people know for the movies now, but like the comic books at the time, uh, I mean, Marvel would do like these embossed covers, like metallic covers, and that was a huge deal. Anyway, we spent all our money on comic books thinking it was a good investment. A couple years ago, I was at my parents' house. I mean, 1,000 comic books in there. And I'm going through all of them. My wife and I made like an Excel spreadsheet we could sell, and we sold them all. more than 1,000 comics for $800 in 2024 money.
Wow.
But I still look back at that like so thankful, because I think comic books gave me a way to imagine the world. I mean, a lot of people, when you hear them talk about comic books, they're like, "Oh, I wasn't lonely." I was never lonely. That wasn't it for me. But it like gave me a way to imagine the world. Frankly, I think it plays into the way I teach people about speeches, like the ideas of the visuals helping to tell the story rather than being like a talk track. So, yeah, I mean, we didn't get our money's worth from selling them to a dealer standpoint, but that did a world of good for me. Better than spending it on, I don't know, candy or something.
Yes. Yes. I mean, at least you have the $800, right? Otherwise,
$800.
candy just would have maybe cost you.
Yeah. Nobody's buying like 20-year-old Mambas. Yeah. Yeah.
No, no. No, definitely not. Okay, so, and just for my curiosity, are you the older brother or the younger brother?
Yeah. I'm older brother.
You're
Hmm.
the older brother. Okay, so
Yeah.
did you and your younger brother have to like split the money 50-50?
Well, funny you should mention that, Candace, because I did an educated guess. I kept collecting after he did. So it felt like 5 to 3 was probably like 500 to 300. I asked him, I was like, "Can I just put this money in your son's college fund?" And he never got back to me. So if he ever listens to this, maybe he'll ask for those $300. But till that point, $300 is mine. Yeah.
Okay. And we will wait. So you can let us know afterwards. We'll update the show notes. $300 paid to college.
Edge of the seat stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Okay. So walking the dog, what else did you do? And you were like 10, so your brother was 8 and you were 10. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, what did like middle school, high school look like? Did you keep on with this work ethic?
Yeah. I mean, I mowed lawns. We had a local farmer's market. I worked there when I was a junior in high school. I unloaded this is another one. It's crazy to think about in hindsight, but I got to the butcher. I think technically called a butcher. I don't know, the people at the farmer's market that sell like ground beef and strip steaks and stuff. Like I worked for one of those guys. I went and helped him before school. So this is like 5 or 5:30 in the morning. I helped him unload hundreds of pounds of just frozen beef. Uh, my The thing I notably remember from that job, which I wound up doing for maybe a year, maybe less than that, is on Saturdays I would go and I would work there the whole day. We had like a deli slicer, and people would ask for like a ham hock or things like that. This guy Dave, first of all, I was 16. I wasn't supposed to be using the deli slicer. Secondly, he taught me that when it got like close to the ground, close to the end, you should like take the safety off and just be real careful. And let's just say I did that, Candace, and I no longer have the top of my middle finger.
Oh my gosh.
Without grossing people out, I will just say my very first thought was, I think I just cut off the top of my finger. And then I looked at it and it didn't bleed right away. And I thought to myself out loud, like, wow, that was a really clean cut. And that lasted a second. And I won't take you through the aftermath. But yeah, like I still can't, this middle finger right here, like I still can't feel at the very edge of it.
Oof.
I know that's
Oh.
not what you thought was. You didn't think we were getting into that today. But I did, yeah. I mean, I did those things. I went to college. I had like a job like at the basketball court in college. So I did things like that. And when I graduated college in 2000, so like the economy is flourishing. Anybody who doesn't have a job, it's like, what are you doing? But
Mhm.
here was the thing with me, and I know I'm a little older than you, but I went to okay, so I grew up, both my mom's a teacher, my dad's a guidance counselor. I did not know what any of my friends' parents did for a job. Like literally, it was just like, oh, Mr. Merriweather, he's at work. But I did not like my friend Chad, like his dad, like he's at work. Like everybody's house I went over, it was just their parents were at work. I didn't know what jobs were. Like I knew they existed, but I didn't know like what options were besides teacher and like a doctor. Doctor, I understood. So I get to college. I get in the University of Richmond, which is like this school that is it's less like this now, but when I went there, it's just a rich school. Like frankly, there's brick cobblestone everywhere. Everybody who's going there, seemingly that I talked to, had a plan when they were 18. I mean, we were talking to this one guy my freshman year, and he's like, yeah, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then Accenture, and then I'll do that for a little while. And then, well, Accenture was called something else at the time. I think it was Arthur Anderson, whatever. Anyway, point being is like, I'll do that and da da da. And then I figure someday I'll be able to work for Goldman Sachs. And I don't know what any of this stuff is. I think some personality types would have tried to figure it all out and would have been like these big finance type people, like would have just followed the crowd with that. I'm not saying I'm not someone who follows the crowd. I just couldn't. I didn't understand what anybody was talking about. Everybody had a lot of money. Like the wardrobes that my friends were wearing when they were like 18, or I don't know that I can match now. I just thought work sounded bad. The idea that you got 2 weeks vacation, that was it.
Mm.
My parents went to every sporting event. Like, I'm so proud of them for this. Like, they went to every sporting event I had, every play I was in. They were almost always home when I got home from school. The idea that parents wouldn't be like that, I understand it more than now that I'm older, but at the time, I was like, wait, what? And you only get 2 weeks vacation? Like, this sounds terrible. I distinctly remember my senior year of college, I was taking a train from Richmond. I grew up in Philadelphia. I was taking a train from Richmond to Philadelphia. I don't remember what prompted this conversation, but there was a guy next to me that like very plainly was a business guy. I didn't talk to him the whole time until like he was about to get off, and I just asked him about what it was like having a job, and he described it for me. And he goes through the whole thing with 2 weeks vacation, and I don't remember the details. I just remember the overwhelming feeling of, again, like that sounds terrible. And I said something like that out loud, which in hindsight, like, Mike, just zip your mouth. But I know I said something like that out loud because his response is etched in my brain. He looks at me and he goes, yeah, well, it's better than being slapped in the face with a dead fish. And he leaves the train.
I would never have guessed out of all the things.
Better than
Maybe
being
that's
slapped
what he did when he was in his
oh,
20s.
better than a job is better than being slapped in the face with a
Mm.
dead fish.
Like those
But
are
I
the
just,
two options.
yeah, totally.
Get a
Yeah.
job
Option
or
A,
get slapped in
option
the
B.
face by a dead fish. Those are your two options. Pick one.
So all that to say, I just did not understand what the rush was to find a job. I didn't think having a job sounded good. Just the idea of like tucking in your shirt sounded really like a stretch to me. So that wasn't what I wanted to do when I graduated.
Mm.
And
What did you study? What were you studying?
yeah, I went to school for communication studies. So I had this one teacher, I give this guy, I mean, he changed my life. But when you say that, it sounds like he sat me down and had a talk with me. That's
Mm.
not what it is at all.
Mhm.
I had this one professor, Dr. Johnson. I mean, I grew up, all of my teachers in high school were like super boring. In hindsight, they're all old. They'd been working for 38 years, and it's like, okay, one more year.
Mm. Mm.
Um, so I was just accustomed to having boring teachers. And I get to college, and there's this guy who's just like fun and funny, and he tells stories to start class. And I just remember thinking, like, I knew it. I knew that someone could teach this way.
Mhm.
And that's as close as I could come to telling you what I wanted to do when I graduated. Is I wanted to be Dr. Johnson. Like, I wanted to I wanted to be a college professor who could make the material come alive and be exciting, and have his students laughing. Like, that felt like a perfect fit for me.
Mm.
So
Did you go that
that is
route after college? Did you try to become a college
kind of,
professor?
I think it was like, I say that like, and it makes it sound like I exited college with that was my plan, but it took another 5 years to get there. I mean, after college, I worked in Wyoming. Like, I worked on it wasn't quite like the Dirty Dancing Ranch, but something like that. Like I waited tables in a ranch for people who were bringing their family there for vacation. So I did that for a summer. Finish, drive cross country. I now like I'm back to living with my parents for a couple months, and like that doesn't seem like a good idea either. So I'd saved a good amount of money. I moved to Australia for a bit because I'd been to Australia before. It was fun. I had friends there.
Mhm.
Went to Australia for a bit. I mean, frankly, Candace, like everything I was doing was just running from starting work.
Mhm.
I think it's not a bad thing to do things like take gap years, but it's better if there's a purpose to it besides just avoidance, which is what I was doing.
Mm.
So I do the Australia thing. I spend most of my money. My visa's running out. Come back to the U.S. Living with my parents. I got pretty lucky. I had a had a friend from high school who was working for the Phillies, like the baseball team. They needed people in the ticket sales department. Just like literally, you would call in and be like, "Hey, I want to go to tonight's game. What tickets are available?" Like that's me answering the phone.
Mhm.
This is what I'm doing with my college degree. Uh, because- and I'm working. This is like 2001, by the way. I'm working there. I'm there for September 11th. There's all this like what's going to happen in baseball, and I wound up working there for 2 years. And it's like good, and it looks good on the resume simply because people see like Philadelphia Phillies, and that's more interesting than
Mm.
other $9 an hour job. But
Mhm.
now we're for the third time since college has ended, we're in the same spot, which is now what do I do?
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
had a bunch of friends living in Boston, moved to Boston, and it took me a long time, but I finally got a full time job there, and immediately I was like, why did I wait so long to have a full time job? This is great. like I
And
s-
what was that? What was your first, I don't know, could we call it adult
first like
job?
grown up job, yeah. First job with benefits, first job where I
There we go.
negotiated like had a real salary and a regular
Mhm.
paycheck, yeah.
Mhm.
So I worked for a company called EF. I don't know if you know them or not. They do class trips. If you go through the airport, you'll see a bunch of, especially in the summer, you'll
Mhm.
see a bunch of like high school students with a backpack on. It's like orange and blue. So what they do is they sell class trips to teachers who take students to Ireland or Spain
Mm.
or England or wherever.
Mhm.
And I loved it. I mean, it's a really good fit for me. Like I was basically selling to people like my parents, so that made it a little bit easier. I got the audience. I made so many friends there, like people who are still friends to this day. I loved going to work. Loved it. Like I had no, it's like I look back at it, I was putting in 60-hour weeks, which sounds bad. And you picture someone who's like real tired and had to drink 9 cups of coffee to get through the day. It
Mhm.
was effortless to do 60 hours. I
Mm.
loved being at work. I loved working with my friends. I loved the culture there. And that really was a pretty big change for me. Um,
Yeah.
some jobs are terrible, but you don't have to work those necessarily. I think it's my takeaway
Yes.
point.
Yes. Okay. So this sounds much better than getting slapped by a fish. So that's nice.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
much
I'm
better.
glad you
Yeah.
didn't find yourself there. You found yourself in a job where you actually, yeah, got to make some friends. And funny enough, my first job was like that too. I one night even slept on a couch in the office because I was so tired, but also I just loved it. I loved going to work. It was such a vibe. So yeah, I totally get that. All right. So and then you did that. So you were basically a salesperson on the phone,
Yeah, sales
right?
guy. Yeah.
Like, and what were some harder days, or were there just really none there? Like, was leadership great? Like, what made it so good, do you think, in hindsight?
Leadership is pretty great. I mean, I found it preposterous that I had to wear a shirt and tie, and I was a little too loud about that opinion. We never saw clients. We're just like calling people on the phone. Why do I have to
Mm.
wear a shirt and tie? But whatever. Every job has something like that, and I should have just been quiet about it. So I bring that up because I was like the golden child for a while. I mean, they voted me like rookie of the year. Like I won this big award in front of all the other salespeople. I knew I wanted to go to grad school. I did want to go be a college professor, but I'm like doing really well at this job, and they want me to go into management. And then Candace, I go to interview for a management job, and I just botched it. Like my heart wasn't in it.
Mm.
And I tried to make my answers seem more like thought leadery than they were. I mean, that job is like looking at numbers, holding meetings, and motivating your employees. Like that's what it is. But I tried to turn everything into these like giant answers. I distinctly remember I'd read about like when football teams are hiring coaches. I around this time I started reading articles about guys who had really impressed management by having like this big binder full of thoughts that they would showcase in the interview. So I created one of those for my interview at EF. Here's the problem: I didn't have anything to talk about really, so it wound up being more like a journal, somewhat fabricated, that they actually read, and then they asked me questions from the journal, which like weren't really thought out,
Mhm.
and I botched it. I mean, everybody was like, "How did you not get chosen?" I think I kind of like blamed it on other things for a while, but like that was full on my fault. And I really wish that I had asked someone or someone had told me that like, listen, you can interview for things, you can go full on out and then figure out later if that's actually what you want to do, but you're better off having that option. Whereas I was just kind of like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this. So like those are like that's the vibe I had when I was interviewing. I remember that distinctly. So yeah, that's where we were.
Mm. Mhm.
I wound up working another year. Then I went to graduate school. It's funny, I wound up going to graduate school at Portland State. Reasons why, there are two. Number one, I got a really good deal for graduate school.
Mhm.
Number two, I really wanted to go to University of Denver, like right in your backyard. Well, not your
Mm.
backyard, but
Yeah,
somewhat
yeah,
close. Like DU is awesome.
yeah. That's where I went. So, yeah, it's good.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Oh, it just seemed like such a dreamy school. This is like 2002, 2003, 2004, somewhere there. 2005 maybe, I don't know, but this is like before you can do everything on your cell phone,
Mm.
and you had to fax in part of your application. I didn't have access to a fax machine that I knew of. So the only thing I could think to do was to but like I just wasn't resourceful. Like of course I could have gone to CVS or something.
Yeah. It's like the library.
Yeah, yeah, I just wasn't the only thing I knew to do, I knew that where I worked had a fax machine, but I also knew there's no way I could do that when there were other managers there. So
Mm.
I I remember like working super late one night when all the managers were gone. Finally sent a fax. It like didn't go through, which I found out weeks later. And the long and the short of it is, by the time I got into the University of Denver, it was going to cost a fortune to go there. So like literally, I went to Portland State because I was too scared to pay for a fax machine, maybe, or too scared to figure out where I could use a fax machine. Or I would
Oh
have gone to the
my,
University of Denver.
that's hilarious. Oh, such a big decision in life, and you're like, no, this
But like
fax
when I look
machine.
back at this stuff, what I actually see, and this is true even when I had other jobs when I was a bit more mature, is someone who felt like there was a right way to do things and was scared that he might deviate from that, and like what would happen if he did. Like what would
Mm.
happen if I had gone to CVS? or or what's another one? Like what would have happened if when I was in college I just like asked a teacher for help navigating school? But I felt like I didn't want to draw attention to the fact I didn't know what I was doing. Maybe that's a better way of saying it.
Mm. Mm.
Which now I'm like totally comfortable doing. And
Mhm.
I'll just say I don't understand this at all. Like I'm in a group right now about like rating copy using AI, and I just say that I'm like I don't get it. Someone
Mm.
explain this to me. I don't understand it all. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's not a realistic thing for people to do when they're in their 20s. But when I look back at it, I just like see so many little blips in my career where if I had just known to ask someone, things might have been different. And I don't mean that in regret necessarily,
Mm. Mm.
because we all learn from this, and I think I'm in a really good spot. But it is just like interesting Think about how different my life might have been if I had just like asked questions.
Yes, yes. I honestly resonate so much with that. It's funny how as I'm getting older, know I know so little. Whereas
Yeah.
in my 20s it was like I can figure this out. I've got it. Like I'm good. I did not want help at all in my 20s either. So I get that. But as I'm getting older, I'm like, oh man, no, I want all the help. I want to surround myself with like coaches and help and people. Yeah,
Is
so
that what it is
I
that what it is? Like
totally
we
get
wanted to
that.
prove that we didn't need help? Like, is that what that is?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Well, need to read a book or something because I don't know what it is. Because now I'm so good with not knowing everything.
Yeah.
I'm like revel in it. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Let's
I
find
don't
out.
understand.
It's like
I don't get it. Can you
nice.
explain that
Yeah.
to me like I'm 8? Explain it to me like I'm 8. I say that to people all
Yes.
the time. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
that's
8
all I
is
got
a good age. I'm thinking my daughter's
totally.
8, my son's 9. Yes, 8. Because 9 is when you start knowing a lot.
Wait, are you being serious right now?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, my son knows a lot of things. He's turning into that person. I'm like, I've got it. Whereas my 8-year-old is still curious. So maybe 8 is that exact right age that you said.
Okay, 8's the right age. 8's
Mhm,
the right age.
mhm.
Yeah, but like
Explain it to
that's
me like I'm 8. I like that. All right. So, okay. You lasted another year after you didn't get the promotion,
yeah.
right? And then, so now fast forward to your journey because, and I've heard it on another podcast. I don't want to, you know, lead you in any way, but what got you to what you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, I look back at it. I mean, this is a real I got lucky. God smiled on me. I was also ready to do something with it. Is I think a good way of saying it.
Mm, mm,
I go to grad school. I go to Portland State. Move all the way across the country.
mhm,
We are 10 minutes into my first class of grad school, and I know this is a mistake.
mm,
People are using these 7, 8 syllable words as if it's normal. I'm looking around the room. I'm the only one who seems to think it isn't normal. People are just saying pedagogical as if, the way that you would say like water cooler or something like that.
mhm,
I distinctly remember because I started my first class, I started just writing them down. This is like on a piece of paper, I'm just writing down words people are saying. Like, what do any of these things mean? Someone wrote phenomenological. I still just like it's a normal word, Candace.
I'll
Like
have to
the
Google that. I don't know what that means.
mistake. I've moved across the country. What I had not properly thought about in being a professor is how much of it is about research and grading.
Mm,
Things that Mike is not excited about. I love the
mm,
teaching part. So here's the problem. Now I've moved across the country. I don't really have a backup plan. So I just kind of like kept going to school. I graduate. Uh, I finished graduate school 2008. Like finished my thesis, all this stuff. It's 2008. Like nobody has a job. Miraculously, I do. Uh, my grad school advisor asked me. So, but when I get a job where, okay, I'm going to try to make this as clear as possible because it involves 2 different colleges. But I get a job at a different college where I am helping students find employment while they're in school. So, it's like your freshman year and you need to make $100 a week for something. Like I'm the guy that helps you find that work, right? So I'm doing that. At the same time, I am being an adjunct at Portland State, which is where I'd gone to grad school. And my graduate advisor asked me if I will teach a class that is helping communication students find jobs. And if she had not asked me to do that, like the rest of my life is different. But she
mm,
did. And I helped students. I put this class together. It's just a weekend class. I think I get paid like $1,600 or something. I'm teaching. I have a guy come up to me during a break on Saturday. This is a Saturday class. The guy comes up to me during a break. He goes, uh, hey, this class is great. I'm not actually in it. My girlfriend is. I didn't have any meetings today, so I decided to come with her. If this guy doesn't come to his girlfriend's class on a Saturday, mind you, the rest of my life looks different. But he does. This guy, Jeff Chang, he works for Nike. Jeff Chang changed my life. He said, "You're a really engaging presenter. I'm actually in charge of bringing in presenters at Nike. We do a once a month series. Would you want to be the speaker sometime?" So, Candace, I'm like, okay, I got nothing. I'm getting paid $1,600 for this class. Like, sure, I can teach this thing at Nike. And at that time, like, I don't know, dude. I mean, are they going to pay me like $25,000? Is it going to be free? I have no idea. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I'm having phone calls with these guys, and they're like, "Yeah, we just need a topic. We'd love to, like, anybody on campus can bring you in, da, 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 or anybody on campus can attend." I don't have a topic, Candace. I got nothing to talk about. The guy had sat in on a class I had taught about using LinkedIn. I just did not want that to be my, like, this is my, like, time at Nike, and I'm going to be like, okay, well, then you search here, and if you use this term, like, that just didn't seem like what I wanted my my Nike speech to be. But I also didn't have anything else to talk about. My topic literally was determined by one of my friends from college, John Renahan. I asked him what he thought I should talk about. And what I heard him say to me was, you should talk about the Tower of Story. I don't know what the Tower of Story is. No idea. But he said it with enough conviction that it sounded like it existed. I'm picturing like an old comms textbook that says like figure 3-1, the Tower of Story, and I'm like picturing this tower, and like each level has a different thing on it. I get on the phone with the Nike people. I'm like, and now I'm all brimming with confidence. I'm like, I've got a topic. I want to talk about the Tower of Story. Thank God this wasn't a face-to-face meeting. Which, by the way, it should have been. Like, I was living 15 minutes from Nike campus at the time.
Yeah.
I should have just drove there. What John had actually said, which I learned very quickly via the Nike reaction, he had actually used the word power. And I know that because Nike people are saying things out loud. They're like, "Oh, the power of story. Story is very powerful." They're like really pronouncing the P. And I'm on the other end. I'm like, "Oh my gosh." He said power, not tower. I get off the phone. I'm like, "Okay, all right. We're okay." Put a talk together on the power of story, which allows me now this is like to my credit though, even though I'm feeling like a fool at this point. It's my credit. I started looking around for how I could do something with teaching people about story and about speaking. I wrote a really if I do say so myself, a really great email to the CEO of this company down in the Bay Area called Duarte. So the CEO's name is Nancy Duarte. She's a gem of a human being. Spent about 45 minutes crafting this email. Press send. Don't think much of it. Get to work. So I press send like early in the morning. I thought to myself, like, CEOs check their email early in the morning. That's like send it then, not like the middle of the day. So send it early in the morning, get ready for work, go to my job, go into work. Very first thing I did to start the workday was check my Gmail account because I don't want to think about work and I didn't have that much to do. And I see like me, Nancy, and I was like, "Who is Nancy?" I had totally forgotten I'd sent this email. She wrote back 5 minutes later, and without taking you through the story and making it longer, she invited me to talk to someone at Duarte about what careers could look like. So now the wheels start churning in my brain. Well, the first thing I did is I looked up where Mountain View, California was because I did not realize this is another just like totally oblivious thing. Mountain View is in Silicon Valley. I know that now. At the time, I did not know Silicon Valley was the name of a region. Like I thought it was like Silicon Valley, California. So I figure out, I'm like, wait, oh, this is near Apple. And then I'm like, oh, that's what Silicon Valley is. Well, my brother was living about an hour and a half away from there at the time. So I just kind of like made up a day that I would be there in the area already. It felt like it would be easier for them to say yes if I was like, August 6th through 8th, I'll be in town. So they scheduled time. I met with their head of HR. The timing was perfect. They needed people who had an interest in story, understood story, and who could teach. And I was all of those things. What was amazing about all that, Candace, is that that's what I actually wanted to do. Like that's what I thought being a college professor would be.
Mm, mm,
And so since then, that led to like everything good professionally in my life.
mm,
Uh, I flew all over the world doing workshops for all these giant companies that I felt intimidated by. And then I realized like I can hang with these people. Oh, I'm good at this. I know more than these people.
mhm,
These people. I thought about this stuff more than corporate people
mm,
did. And that has led to me coaching people one-on-one. That's led to me doing group work. That's led to me running my own trainings. I worked for Duarte for 8 years, left in 2019 to go out on my own. So yeah, that's where I've started helping people like yourself, the New York Times bestsellers, the James Clears of the world. Like that all started from the economy being in ruins, my grad school teacher asking if I wanted to teach a class, and this guy Jeff Chang going to that
mm,
class.
mm.
That's how it worked.
Wow. But he must have seen something in you. Like it just feels like, I don't know, all the dominoes, everything just lined up exactly right. But you were in a space. Obviously, he saw something.
Yeah.
What do you think that was? Like if you go back to, John Chan's
Jeff
reaction.
Chang, Jeff Chang, Jeff Chang. Yeah.
Yeah. So
What did he say?
yeah.
He saw someone who didn't use PowerPoint, who just talked, who
Mhm.
talked conversationally to an extent. It wasn't cursing or things like that, but who could simplify concepts, who was interested in his students and like genuinely cared about his students and was able to think on his feet. Um,
Mm,
I I had a loose script that I followed when I was teaching all that stuff, but mostly I just remember being in school. I remember teachers being boring. I didn't know it at the time, but what most students as of 2000, well, I don't know what college is like now, but for at least for a long time, like let me say from probably like 2000 to 2020 at least, like most professors are just reading off PowerPoint decks.
mhm,
I didn't know that. I knew if you had asked me, I would have said that's a terrible idea. So even though I didn't know that, like I think on some level I just knew what it looked like to be entertaining and interesting and simplifying things and allowing the audience to really participate instead of talking at them. Which
mm,
by the way, like all of those things are the same as a speech. Like,
yeah,
that's what so on some level that's what Jeff Chang saw.
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure if I went and watched a replay of it, I would cringe. I've looked at the slide deck and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." But I also knew how to make people laugh and I knew how to simplify and I knew what mattered to people. So somewhere in there is what Jeff Chang saw. And
Mm,
that's I'm so glad you said that because I never really thought about it before.
mm,
I think and even when I tell the story, it's always like, "Oh, I got lucky. I got
mm,
lucky. This guy Jeff Chang
mm,
likes me." But
yeah.
you're right. If I wasn't good in the first place, he would have just sat there.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. Yep, and gone on with his day with his girlfriend after you were done.
Totally. Well, you
Yeah.
know what? Actually, he wouldn't have even gone to class on Saturday because he told
Mm.
me that his girlfriend had said to him that this class is really great.
Oh. Oh, nice. Okay, okay. Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, and I'm also glad I asked that question. So with all of this, Mike, what were some of the hard times that you've been through? And and I like to say, in hindsight, you look at that hard time and think that you're actually so grateful for it.
Yeah. Not getting the manager job when I was at EF
Mm,
was pretty hard. Uh, I never I think I play better as an underdog, and it was like I was a favorite and didn't know what to do with it. In hindsight,
mm,
I don't think I would have phrased it that way at the time. That was pretty hard. I mean, I'm grateful it didn't work. I think the other thing that I'm grateful for that was hard. I went to Richmond. I said this. This is like Abercrombie and Fitch is the biggest deal, and everybody's wearing like straight Abercrombie, and I've got T-shirts, and I'm like shopping at Goodwill and stuff. Never felt poor a day in my life until I got to that school, but then every day at that school, I felt poor. To illustrate how out of water I was. Okay, so let me say that differently. I wasn't out of water socially, but wealth-wise, I felt out of water. My senior year, I just I did this thing. I was like dressed like a Richmond student day, and I borrowed my friend Jim Scatine's Richmond clothes. So like the Richmond outfit was basically like a logo-less hat, a button down, like a nice button down, fleece vest, khakis, nice shoes, which I own zero of these things, by the way. So I dressed like Jim Scatine for a day. My best friends are walking past me and don't recognize me. Like, I'm like, hey, they're like, oh my gosh, like, who are you today? I think being exposed to that type of person, and by the way, I don't mean that type of person like is bad, but I think that was a type of person I would have never met. You know, if I had gone to state school or something. I mean, I grew up in like I went to public school where I grew up. If I'd gone to state school, I don't know. I'm sure there were people with money, but it wouldn't have been like every last person. I think that really prepared me well for going into the corporate world and what a lot of finance and accounting and business type of people think about and the way that they talk and the way they move through the world. So, uh, college wasn't, I mean, it's not like I look back at it and I'm like, I can't believe I made it through. That was so hard. But like, I mean, every day I showed up feeling a little bit outclassed, and maybe it was just good to get that out of the way early, but I'm thankful for it. It's helped me move through the world and understand other people.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, I can see that. That's yes, because you said going into these companies that you felt pretty intimidated, but you soon realized you can hang out with them. You
Totally.
belong, right? Like
Yeah.
I felt that. All right, and another question that I do want to ask you is in today's world. So you know you've you started your career when everyone was employed. You finished grad
Yeah.
school when no one was employed. You know, 2000, 2008. So you sort of seen it all. What do you think today we're not speaking enough about when it comes to building a career that you actually love? You know, like, and again, you felt dread thinking a corporate career with the 2 week schedule, but maybe some
Yeah.
people just want to climb that ladder. You know, so you could be speaking to anyone right now. What is something we need to speak more about? Building a career you love.
Two things jump to mind. Number one, I think you're not locked in forever.
Mm.
You could approach it like, what if I had my friend Ryan Carson used to talk about this. He was like, what if you approach it like you had 4 10-year careers? That would change things quite a bit. Now, you and I both know there still needs to be like some, or probably there's some connection between career one and career two. You know what I mean? Like you're probably not going from, I'm probably not going from speaking coach to bass fisherman or something like that. But like you actually can do things like that too. I think there's a lot more that you can do than we've realized there is. Um, I'm going to make it sound easier than it really is, but you can just get really interested in something and start testing it yourself. Track your progress. You might even like build it, like people talk about building in public or learn. My friend Amanda, I think, says it better, learning in public. So you could get really, really interested in the topic, learn in public, be putting that on YouTube or LinkedIn or wherever, and turn it into something where you teach other people about that thing. Now, on one hand, it's like, well, why don't you just ChatGPT summarize it for you? Because the strength of you learning in public about something is that you have then been in your audience's shoes. I talk about this a lot for speaking. So there are all these, you know, they're like the famous authors, famous thought leaders who get paid 6 figures to go into a company and speak. And that's great and it's helpful. I think the most helpful speaker in the world is someone who is talking to an audience that was them like 6 months earlier. You know, like 6 months ago, I was in your shoes and I can give you the exact roadmap that I followed. And here's what I screwed up. And here's what I remember thinking. I mean, that is the most like effective speaker in the world, is someone who can connect with you both on an authority level and an empathy level. So said differently, like the thoughts are smart, but also they remember what it's like to be there wondering what I do next. Like that.
Mhm, mhm.
And I just think those opportunities are out there for us way more than we realize they are. And anybody could start on that tomorrow. Now, you probably wouldn't make money tomorrow, but you could start on that at any time. And that's a pretty powerful thing, and that has not been available for people for that long.
Truly, that is so powerful. I just don't want that to get lost. Like, you're not committing. When you make a decision, you don't have to do that thing for the rest of your life. Like, it's not necessary. And I love that, like, you have 4 careers, because I feel like I'm going into my 3rd one. I really do feel like
Mhm.
that. And so that's so good to know, and learn in public. Like, really, really good. I really love that. So I just didn't want that to get missed. I wanted to reinforce that messaging.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
shout out to Amanda
Yeah.
Getz, who pointed out learning in
Mm,
public is more effective than building in public.
mm, mm.
Learning in public. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's very different. Very, very different.
Mm.
Yes. Oh, love that. Okay. So now, final question before you get to tell people, how they get to work with you. Go back in time to younger you. What would you thank yourself for doing then?
Um, there's a I feel like every third article is on like people pleasing sucks, stop people pleasing. I think I would thank myself for people pleasing,
Mm,
honestly.
mm,
High school, college, when I was trying to figure out who I was and how to move through the world myself, I think people pleasing and having access to different. This is going to sound more strategic than it was, but being able to observe the way that different people approach things and what different people talked about and what different people said when they didn't realize, like basically when they weren't on camera.
mm,
None of that would have happened if all I did was walk into a room and stood tall about
mhm,
something. The
yeah.
fact that I and people, yeah, the fact that I people pleased and was easy to get along with and was well liked has served me incredibly. And I get it, and it's not like I wouldn't stand up for anything, but I think it's like the message that a lot of people get is like you need to have like these 3 values, and anybody who doesn't fit in, like stop people pleasing. No, you're letting
Mm,
people walk all
mm,
over you. I don't know. My years in college, like sure, there are things that probably in hindsight, like I should have had better boundaries around. But my years in college and early job, um, people pleasing, as long as we're defining it as like observing and watching other people and perhaps saying yes to things that were slightly things I would have said I should have said, or maybe I could have said no to. It helped me a lot. I just got to observe so much of how other people were, and it's helped me a ton. So
mm.
I've sometimes toyed with the idea of writing like an article in defense of people pleasing,
Do it.
but I don't. Yeah. Anyway, I'll let you know if I get there.
Do it. Do it. And if you have done it before this episode goes live, we will link it, because I think that is so underrated.
Yeah.
I really do. I actually agree with you. I've never thought of it like that. Never ever. But I love that perspective. Truly, that just hits home, because it is good to make other people around you also feel good.
And
And maybe
comfortable.
people
Yeah.
put that under people pleasing, but it's not. It's just being likable. And yeah, I've never thought of it like that, Mike. I love it. Okay, awesome.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
lots of people are like, "Yeah, if you never had enemies, you've never really lived. You never stood up for anything." Well,
Mm, yeah,
maybe.
maybe.
That's probably true for the person saying that.
Yeah,
Not true for me.
yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay. Write that article, please. Okay. So, Mike, tell people how they can work with you, all the things. Obviously, we're going to do all the links in the description. So, we don't need, connect with me on LinkedIn. Why should people contact you?
Yeah, there's so many people with great ideas who have some speaking experience, and it's just not what it could be. If you've ever had that feeling of you get off the stage and you're like, oh, it's kind of good. There are some good parts, and maybe people are coming up to you afterwards and they're saying things are good, and you're suspicious because you know there's a better version of you out there. Like, that's the person that I help. So
Mm.
people who've got these great ideas, maybe you've written a book, maybe just you have a big following and you want to start building your speaking and you want to be the best that you can be and you want to exit the stage feeling like that was awesome. When can I get back out there? Those are the people who should work with me. So you can go to bestspeech.co. That's my site, bestspeech.co. And we'll also create, actually, let's make this easier. We'll do bestspeech.co/Candace, ICE, right? Candace with an I.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you a freebie there that is awesome. Like, frankly, it's worth thousands of dollars. One of the things that people really struggle with and affects so many parts of the talk is the beginning. So many people hem and haw at the beginning versus winning the audience over instantly. I've got this great freebie, how to
Mm-hmm.
win your audience over in 13 seconds. And let me just tell you, if you're able to do that and you are able to win your audience over quickly, all the things you're worried about, all the things about, well, what if I mess up? It goes out the window because the audience likes you. And they have so much grace for someone who right off the bat seems like they've got things put together and seems like they've thought about the audience. And so all of that, how to win the audience over, I'll put in the freebie. And I'm so proud of it. It has helped so many people. And,
Yes.
I love doing podcasts like this in particular because I get to look back at where I started and say the line to get where I am hasn't exactly been a straight line, but I'm really thankful for it. And I'm thankful to get to meet people like you, Candace. It's
Mm-hmm.
so fun along the way.
Yeah, yeah. It's that's how I met you on a
Yeah.
podcast. I heard you. I was like, I have to work with this guy. So I think I reached out like the same day. So
Yeah.
yes, thank you so much for being on this podcast, Mike. It's been an absolute honor. Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure, Candace. Thank you so much.